All right, welcome to episode 100. And as a way of celebrating and saying thank you, I'm going to be answering your questions. I asked you on Instagram to send in questions. You guys sent in a lot. So we've gone through and categorized all the questions, and there's some good ones. Stay tuned. All right, first, starting with the random category. In your So You Want to Be series, when will you do a prostitute or porn star? Asking the important questions, I see. To be honest, that never occurred to me. Normally what I do is I will work with some cardiologists to make the cardiology video and some dermatologists to make the So You Want to Be a Dermatologist video. Never consider these categories. If you do have a unique profession that you would like to have featured on the So You Want to Be playlist or series on the Medical Insiders channel, reach out. We'll see what we can do. Where is the So You Want to Be a Residency Dropout? This entire channel, more or less, is somewhat related to me being a residency dropout. So there you go. How did you get that jawline so sharp, though? I don't even know what to say. Do you ride your bike in Coronado, California ever? I did not. I lived in San Diego for 4 years for med school. The thing that actually got me into cycling was I bought this road bike, and then we rode from essentially the school in La Jolla, and we rode up, I think it was up to like Carmel by the sea and then back. Total, it was 25 miles and it took us a couple hours. It was so much fun. I loved it. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do this more often. And the rest is history. Last week, I did my first century in Salt Lake City. Do you plan your day to every millisecond or second? Okay, so contrary to popular belief, I don't actually do that. For me personally, I am happiest when I live on extremes and I go between extremes. So I will work really, really hard and then play really, really hard. And I try not to be in the middle ground. I try not to watch TV while doing work. I try not to do a workout while trying to do something else. For me, there are times when I was studying for step 1, 30 minutes, every 30-minute block for 6 weeks planned out ahead of time. Yes, that was more hardcore, that was more structured than what I generally want to do. But then on the other hand, when I go on vacations, I'm completely unstructured. There's not a single thing planned, right? It's like, hey, what do you feel like doing this morning? Where do you want to eat? What do you want? Like, it's completely just go with the flow. So to me, not just with my schedule and productivity, but with some other areas of my life, like driving, for example, it's about extremes. So on public roads, I drive very safe because driving on public roads is shockingly dangerous, and I don't think that as humans we're very good at actually assessing risk. It's terrifying how bad some drivers are and some of the stunts people pull. So I drive very conservatively and very safely on public roads, but then when I can let loose in a controlled and legal environment like autocross or track days, then yes, the traction control is coming off and I'm going all out. I'm not saying that you should, but for me, that's again, me living on both extremes. Why do you post shirtless stories at night? So on Instagram, I'll sometimes do a selfie video and I'll be shirtless. I mean, when I go to sleep, I don't wear clothes, I just wear boxers. So if I want to share an important insight with you guys, I don't want to go put on a shirt, record, and then take it off. So, I figure you guys can handle a little bit of skin. Next category is personal questions. How tall are you? 6'1". What foods do you miss eating that you had to cut out of your diet? So for those of you who don't know, I have Crohn's colitis, got diagnosed first year of college. And that was the toughest time because back then I would eat pretty healthy, but I would have these cheat days, once per week. And I'd have pizza or burgers. And the hardest thing for me was letting go of those foods, especially when you're eating those foods in front of your friends who are having like the pizza slice that smells so good or the burger. And I would slip up and I would eat those foods when I wasn't supposed to. And then I would pay the price. And it'd be very painful. It would last at least a day, if not a couple days. The kind of cool thing or the kind of interesting thing is that over the long term, my taste preferences have changed. And now I actually have an aversion to pizza. Like the smell actually makes me feel nauseous because I've associated that with, probably some abdominal symptoms. So I'd say this day, what I really miss the most is spicy food. I used to love spicy food growing up. Get Costco pizza, throw Tabasco all over it, or, having spicy curries. But I think I actually enjoy food more today than I did back then. Because when you have restrictions, when you have IBD, you begin to realize what you took for granted. It gives you such a deeper appreciation for what you can eat. And I can eat sushi, I can eat Thai food, as long as I don't get it too spicy. I can eat so many foods that I truly appreciate. I think it's a richer culinary experience now for me than it was back then. What's something you had to sacrifice to achieve something or just grow as a person? This is a really good question. And the first thing that comes up for me is probably my college career. During college, after I got sick, I made a personal decision that I was going to work my tail off and stop at nothing to get into medical school and be the best gastroenterologist that I could be. Ironic, because obviously didn't go into gastroenterology, but that to me was, you know, saying no to a lot of parties, saying no to a lot of social events. Most people say that, oh, college is the most richest, best years of your life. And I knew that, but I willingly said, like, that's just not for me right now. I need to grind. I didn't even date. I didn't date for 4 years, and I wouldn't change that. I learned so many important lessons during that time. I honed my productivity. I learned things about myself and other people and my family, and probably the most accelerated personal growth phase of my life. And the cool thing was that in medical school, I could have a lot of fun that I didn't allow myself to have in college. In college, I mean, I have some very fond memories. I was on this dance team and we would travel and we had these events. So it's not like I didn't have any fun, but compared to the average college student, I was working a lot harder. How much training do you need to have to do a century? The recommendation I've come across is if you are able to cycle that full distance, 100 miles in a single week across a couple rides, you should probably be able to handle it. Or if you can do 2/3 of the ride, so like 66 miles, you should be able to go and do a 100-mile ride. That's the guideline I've heard. I only did 40 miles in a single ride before I jumped to 100. Not what I would recommend at all. But the reason I was able to do it was I did some research about the nutrition. So the biggest thing is, like, you gotta make sure you're fueling yourself properly, because after riding for several hours, if you don't have enough calories coming in, you will just run out of steam. Simple as that. A big part of it was adequate nutrition, and then also resisting the urge to push yourself. So cycling to me is fun because I love going fast. Sometimes my heart rate will get really high, like 190, 191 even. I realized to do a 100-mile bike ride, which is gonna take me several hours, I cannot ever do that because that will exhaust me. So my goal was to stay below 150 beats per minute for the whole ride, which to me is zone 1 or zone 2. There were some times towards the end I was getting to like the 160s, but for the most part, I was like 120s, 130s, sometimes 140s, and that kind of slow and steady wins the race is what allowed me to finish the 100 miles without any issue. Okay, another question that came up was, you know, what are your current goals, or what do you want to work on next, or 5-year plan, 10-year plan? I don't really believe in setting 5-year plans or 10-year plans because so much can happen in one's life in 5 years. For me, in 2017, I wanted to be the best plastic surgeon. I was obsessed about practicing my technique and, you know, using my left hand to brush my teeth and improving my dexterity and reading all these plastic surgery textbooks I have and doing all these flashcards because I want to be the best. A year later, I said, oh, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I actually have this other thing that's more appealing to me, and I completely changed gears. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen in a few years. I do know right now I am very passionate about medical education. So it's Med School Insiders and Memm, and I also wanna do some more work with the Save Our Doctors initiative. But in the future, I wanna get back to medical devices, because when I first started BlueLink, that biomedical incubator in med school, that was so exciting. That was one of the first things that got me, you know, reinvigorated about entrepreneurship. So at some point in the future, I don't know how many years from now, I do want to revisit that. Some people hate you for wasting your competitive residency spot. How do you feel about that? The way I feel is that you gotta stop being such a victim. You can look at this logically or emotionally. So this person is looking at it emotionally. You wasted this spot, it's so unfair. No, dude, think about it logically. There are more people graduating from medical school every year than there are residency positions. By me dropping out of residency, someone filled that spot like that. Especially plastics, like there was a line of people. They were able to fill it no problem. There's so many people that actually need residency positions that were able to get one. So I've actually spoken about this in a previous video, so I'll just leave it at that. Next category, cars. What's the best sports car and why? What kind of car is your dream car? Why a Lexus? Potential new car? So I don't own a Lexus. I own a Scion FRS. I've had it since 2013, over 7 years. What I enjoy in a car, there's different types of car people. So you got the guys and girls who are into different types of car culture, whether it's Stance Nation or it's, you know, racing or exotic cars or being flashy or driving or whatever. For me, cars are beautiful, but it's ultimately all about the driving. That's why I love my car. My 2013 Scion FRS, not flashy at all, not fast, has a lot of weaknesses as a car, but I just love the steering feel and the stick shift and just it's just such a good, fun, light car that you can throw around and improve your own driving skills in. For me, long term in the future, I do want to own a Porsche Cayman GT4 because I think that is one of the ultimate driver's cars, especially if you want to go to the track and improve your driving skills, which is something that I do plan on doing. In fact, I'm going to the track with my Scion FRS next week. Now, the other thing that's very important to me is driving stick shift. It's going to be dying. Right now, there's only 31 new cars you can buy with a stick shift. And over the years, that number will decrease. So I want to enjoy it while I still can. The thing I love about driving stick is that it allows you to get better at a certain discrete task, right? So as humans, pursuing mastery just makes us happy. When I say pursuing mastery, I don't mean you have to be like the top 1% in a specific discipline, but just choosing one thing and then getting better at it is incredibly rewarding. So for example, when you drive stick, at the beginning, you just want to be able to move the car without stalling. And then you can do that and it feels rewarding. And then after that, you want to rev match on your downshifts. And then that becomes easy. So you say, okay, what's the next thing? And then you do, let's say, heel toe downshifts. And then that becomes easy. And then you do double clutching. And then that becomes easy. And then the final ultimate thing you do is the heel toe double clutch at the same time, which is like the hardest, most technically challenging thing to do while you're driving stick. But that challenge is the beauty. The challenge is the fun part of it. Even though I can do all these techniques, it's about getting better. Can I get smoother? Can I do it faster? Can I just do it in a better way? And that's why, driving to the grocery store can be rewarding and fun to me because every time I'm shifting, I'm trying to get better at it. Next section is self-help. How do you maintain your sanity in times of adversity? I think it depends on the adversity you're facing. So right now, for me, I have become very aware that I take certain things for granted that help keep me sane and happy during my normal life. And with COVID and with all these other changes in our lives, this type of adversity requires a different approach. And for me, I've determined, okay, I need to get outside of Vegas. I need to plan things regularly. I need to do larger activities that I'm looking forward to. That's why I did the Century last week. That's why I went to Monterey a month ago. That's why I'm gonna do another like mini road trip or visit my family in the coming weeks. But other types of adversity, like let's say you're dealing with a health condition or you got bad grades or you didn't get accepted to medical school. For me at least, it kind of lights a fire. I want to focus on figuring out what went wrong, what can I do about it. I'm going to work really hard to then fix that thing or to get a different outcome. Yeah, that's kind of a harder question to answer in a straightforward way. How do you avoid comparing yourself to others? When you think about it, just logically speaking, it doesn't make sense to compare yourself to others because there's so many external variables that you can't really control for that make a lot of these comparisons meaningless. Like, why would I compare my Scion FRS to a Ferrari 458? Yeah, they're both cars, but they're so different, whether that's price point or performance or just reliability, all these different things. The way I look at it is I just want to compare myself to me. And if that's strength training, okay, am I getting stronger? If that's my body composition, am I working closer towards my ideal? If it's cycling, am I getting better? Okay, I hit a century, awesome. Can I do the century again faster or can I go further than a century? To me, that's the comparison that matters. And the other thing with comparisons is that we all have different things we value. And for me, one thing that's so important to me is doing what I think is the right thing and being principled in that way. So when I see people do things that I feel are not principled, and I'm like, that's morally wrong, or I would never do that because that just seems ethically questionable. If I'm comparing myself to others, then I'm like, oh, I'm so much better than them. And that's not a healthy way of looking at things either. It's more of, okay, am I acting in a way that I am happy with, that is morally sound to me, that I can go to sleep at night and be happy and proud of my actions. So compare yourself to you and you alone, no one else. Next category is Memm. What I'll say about Memm is it's coming soon. It's gonna be only for the MCAT at the beginning. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll make some more videos about it. We'll have some special discounts if you're subscribed to our newsletter, but that's all I'm gonna say about it right now. All right, next section, medical. A lot of questions here. I'll pick a couple. Were you able to keep a full-time job in medical school? A lot of schools actually explicitly forbid you from having any outside jobs because you would probably fail. So no, I did not have any job in medical school. I did have a research position that was paid in college, but I don't know anyone who had even a part-time job in medical school. That's just not realistic. I'm only in high school, but is there anything I can do to prepare to be a pre-med? At that point, just focus on your own habits. Focus on studying better, having better time management, and yeah, don't take things too seriously just yet. There's plenty of time to really hunker down. Most important advice for first year of med school. I talk a lot about this on the Med School Insiders channel. I'd say understand that you can get through it. At the beginning, it's gonna be tough, there's gonna be an adjustment, but just take it one step at a time and you'll get through this. Focus on improving your study strategies. That's gonna be the highest ROI because if you can focus on that, so much of your time and energy is going to be spent on studying, and if you're not efficient there, so much time will be wasted. So if you focus on evidence-based study strategies, which I do talk about extensively on the Med School Insiders channel, then you'll be in a good place. All right, last section. Girls, girls, girls. Oh my God. The number of inappropriate questions is just so damn high. I'll be talking about my experience and the things that I've learned and the pros and cons of, dating someone who is also in medicine with you versus someone who is not in medicine, things like that. But yeah, some of these questions, I'm just not even gonna answer. All right, last question. What is something we wouldn't believe about you. I don't think this is that hard to believe, but I am red-green colorblind. I have strong protanomaly, so that means my red cones are present but dysfunctional. I use these colorblind glasses, which is really cool, really fun. The reason that a lot of people get tripped up on this is because they think that if you're colorblind, you can't, be working in the OR. And that's just not true, because red-green colorblindness doesn't really limit your ability to see anatomical structures or do actual surgery. But yeah, during the pre-employment physical, I already knew I was colorblind. They never asked me beforehand, but on the pre-employment physical, they give you those circle dot tests, the Ishii, I forget what it's called. And anyways, the colorblind, dot test. And they're like, "Oh, sir, did you know that you're colorblind?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I've known since I was in elementary school." It wasn't a big deal. No one really talked about it ever again after that. So that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your questions. I may do some more of these AMAs in the future if you guys like them. So much love, and see you guys in the next one.